Yeah, so the last couple of weeks has been really focused on bills, and so we're looking at all different kinds of proposals, and members in our caucus have passed some really good bipartisan measures. I want to talk about just a couple of them. One of them is an education bill focused by Carrie Hicks on how we help diagnose dyslexia. So this is when kids are screened as having challenges with reading comprehension or understanding the developmental stages of reading. My family went through this ourselves. How do you help people come to a diagnosis? And right now, people are not in our schools that are able to come up with that diagnosis. They might be able to screen and recognize the challenges, but they can't actually get to an IEP, which is that individualized education program we want. So when we're talking about a great education for every kid, we need to make sure we have clarity about what they need. And so this allows educators to get a micro-credential to do that assessment for dyslexia. And that'll help our kids really know what they need, and our educators know how to help them. So I'm thrilled that bill's moved through the Education Committee. Good job, Senator Hicks. Senator Dossett has been working on bills specifically around economic independence. So she passed a bill specifically about driver's education for people who need an adaptive vehicle. And this is a situation, if somebody needs an adaptive vehicle, that's going to be their independence, right? And so she's trying to make sure they have that opportunity. So I'm thrilled that Senator Dossett's working on that bill, and it went through committee this week. One more I wanted to mention is Senator Boren. Last year we saw a bill that was really about the Oklahoma City Thunder and how we make sure we keep the Oklahoma City Thunder here and recognize that economic impact. She brought up last year, what about women's sports, women's professional sports? And this year has brought forward the measure to make sure that women's sports would be included in these professional sport incentives. I think that's a great way to recognize across the country there's been a boom in spectators and interest in women's sports, and we want to make sure that's part of what we're looking at. We have amazing softball players. We have amazing programs happening around the state. Why shouldn't girls be able to look up to women athletes in this state? So those are three bills I'm just really impressed with this week.
So 3 weeks into it, we still have more coming up in committee. What are some of the issues that you and your caucus are keeping an eye on coming up ahead?
Yeah, we've seen some bills, concerning bills around education, specifically about the private school voucher program. So we're in the time of year when the private school voucher portal opens and people are applying for that credit. We did see news out of the Tulsa World that there's been clawbacks and that there's a lot of credits that are unaccounted for. Maybe the students weren't actually enrolled in the school or not enrolled for the whole year, and they totaled close to $5 million in clawbacks. That's worrisome when you look at public money that's being redirected to private schools. And now we have legislation moving, several different pieces of legislation to expand who can apply for those vouchers. And we need to hold these things accountable. Taxpayer money should not be sent out the door without a real clear understanding of what's happening with that money. So that's one big concerning one. We're still talking about the budget. We've heard from agencies about what they think they need to serve Oklahomans. Now we have to figure out what the priorities are and what's going to really impact people in our state. What's most important to move forward. So there's a big conversation about tax cuts and what our budget is needed in the upcoming year.
Now, in order to understand what it is that's on the hearts and minds of Oklahomans, you and your caucus are also going to be holding a series of open houses, of receptions to hear from the citizens.
Yeah, things move fast up here, and there's a lot of people that don't know how to engage, don't know how to be in touch with their legislators. We hear from people and are responding constantly, but we wanted to create some forums where people can come, bring us their concerns, ask us the questions in person. So on March 3rd, we're starting Capitol Conversations, and this is going to have some of our Senate members here. They'll be talking about their big priorities this year, but then we'll leave lots of time for questions and concerns to be raised by people who want to attend. We started last month with an open house. We had people drive from all over the state who really wanted to feel like they understood what was happening up here and wanted to come face to face with their legislators. So we encourage people to come. It's going to be on March 3rd, 5:30 in the evening. You can contact my office if you're wondering about it or you want to sign up. It's julia.kirt@oksenate.gov. That's the email. You can also call our office number, 405-521-5636. And my assistant or I can help you know when to come, know how to engage. We want to make sure people have responsive government, even if we're not your senator.